today was a beautiful day in Columbus, Ohio, so I decided to get in my car and go for a ride and go to a few record stores. I went to 3 stores today, all within about a mile of each other. Elizabeth's Records, Lost Weekend Records, and RPM Records. So the first stop was Elizabeth's Records, and the first thing I picked up at Elizabeth's Records was the She and Him record. This is She and Him Classics. She and Him is M. Ward and Zoe Deschanel, the actor, and they have a great chemistry together and they have fun. And I have volume 1 and volume 2, but I don't have this one, so I'm glad to add this to my collection. I really enjoy listening to them and just fun music, so I'm looking forward to this one. Glad to have it in my collection. Second thing I picked up was the Tubes debut record, and the Tubes were a rock band in the, I think, early 70s, 80s, not quite sure. Leave a comment below if you have any more information on the Tubes. I do know that this record was produced by Al Cooper, who I've mentioned in previous videos, and they have a fun sound, a lot of fun songs, and a lot of humor to their music, and almost Zappa-ish, I would say, on some of their songs. So glad to have this one in my collection because this is one I did not have. Next one is an album by the Sonics. This is the Sonics, and the Sonics are a garage band. They've been around for a long time, and I didn't realize this when I bought it, but this is a later live recording. If you look at the back, the pictures are, well, they've obviously aged a little bit, but they're still rocking hard, so I'm sure it still has that really good garage rock sound to it. It was recorded in Detroit, Michigan, live, and I'm looking forward to it. Next up was this Devendra Banhart and Jana Hunter record. It's a vinyl only release, as you can see, and this record is one side of Devendra Banhart and the other side is Jana Hunter. I've never heard anything by Jana Hunter, but I really like Devendra Banhart's kind of spacey spiritual folk, and so I'm really looking forward to listening to this, and I'm sure I will enjoy it quite a bit. Next up, hit the bargain bin at Elizabeth's, and Elizabeth's has a great $2 record section. There are so many $2 records, it's hard to even make your way through them, and you can spend a day digging through them. So the first thing I picked up from that section was this Donovan record. It's called Like It Is. Donovan is a Irish folk singer from the 60s. His biggest hit was Mellow Yellow. He does have a good pop sensibility, and looking forward to this one as well. Next one I found, actually a customer next to me dropped this one on the floor, and then apparently he didn't want it, so I picked it up. It's a copy of Alan Parsons' project I, Robot. Alan Parsons was the engineer on Pink Floyd's classic Dark Side of the Moon, and this is one of his solo records. It has his biggest hit, I Wouldn't Want to Be Like You, on it, and just a wonderful record. And the one I had was not in real good shape, and this thing is minty, and it was only $2. Alright, moving on to Lost Weekend Records. So at Lost Weekend Records, The first two things I picked up were Skid Roper, or actually Mojo Nixon and Skid Roper. This is their self-titled album. And the second one I picked up was Mojo Nixon and Skid Roper, Bodacious. And that about sums up Mojo Nixon and Skid Roper in one word, Bodacious. They are fun. They have got a little bit of rockabilly to them, a lot of humor to their music, a little bit of sarcasm, and I think, if I'm not wrong, and let me know, comment below, that Mojo Nixon has a show on Outlaw Country on Sirius Radio. The only new record I bought was at Lost Weekend. This is Fleet Fox's Shore. This has been a long-awaited vinyl release. It came out a couple months ago on digital only, and I've listened to it quite a bit on Qobuz and Tidal, my two digital services of choice, and that it is a really good record. It's almost as good as they were back when Father John Misty was in the band. Very good record. Still really prefer the first one, but I've been listening to this one for a couple months now, and I really do enjoy it. The Boss, Bruce Springsteen, Tunnel of Love. This is a Springsteen record I did not have in my collection yet, so I picked this up at Lost Weekend, and I'm glad to have it. And it's a wonderful record, and I'm a pretty big Bruce Springsteen fan, so glad to have this one. Next one is a record that you couldn't get for under $1,000 or so. It was very, very rare, and they finally reissued it, and I could afford it, and it is Guided by Voices, Propeller. Now, the original Propellers, the ones that go for quite a bit of money, all have a custom cover, handmade, and they were very limited, and it was reissued once in the past, and even those reissues go for quite a bit of money, so I'm glad to have this in my collection. Guided by Voices is from my hometown of Dayton, Ohio, and I run into Bob Pollard quite a bit on my record shopping trips. He drives up to Columbus to go record shopping. He has a huge record collection, and he puts out a ton of records. You can hardly keep up. But I am so glad that they finally reissued this record. So now I have a copy. Next one really freaked me out because Kyle at Lost Weekend actually played this for me in the store because I hadn't heard it yet. But one of the DJs for a radio station, internet radio station that I do some work with, Radio 614, one of the DJs asked if anyone had a MP3 of the Osmonds' Crazy Horses, and I didn't have one, and I don't think anyone else did, on MP3 at least. And so when I saw this record, I had to hear what it was about, and it is a heavy, hard crunching rock album. In fact, there's a song on here that sounds eerily similar to the Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin, and I couldn't believe it, so I had to get it because I was just amazed by it. And I don't know who stole it from who or who borrowed it from who, but very cool. Next up is RPM, and RPM has a $2 section as well. It's buy 5 get 1 free, and they have a great $2 section that you could get lost in as well. And so I dug through there, and the first thing that I picked up was this Bee Gees Life in a Can. This is early pre-disco Bee Gees, pop Bee Gees, great record. I've had this record in my collection in the past, but it may have gotten traded or swapped or something of that nature because I no longer have it. So I picked this up, and great record. It's going to need a little bit of cleaning, but I'll clean it up and it'll sound great. Next one was another one that, believe it or not, I did not have. This is Cheap Trick Live at Budokan, and this is the album that pretty much put Cheap Trick on the map of AOR radio. And great live album, fun record. Robin Zander's voice was in top shape, and Bunny Carlos on drums. Just a great band. So power pop at its finest, and just a good live album, and good one to have. I'm telling you, bargain bins are fun. I mean, that's part of the fun of this. So the next one, this is an artist, Marianne Faithfull. I don't have any records by her in my collection at all, so this is the first one. This is Go Away From My World by Marianne Faithfull, and I don't know what to expect from it, but it looks like something that I may like, so I picked it up. Next one, Jim Croce, Photographs and Memories, his greatest hits. Now, Jim Croce is an artist that, when I was a kid, I loved listening to Jim Croce. I'm talking 7, 8 years old. And my parents played Jim Croce records for me all the time. And, you know, we lost him too young. He passed away in a plane crash. But great storytelling songs, and just this is like the comfort food of music. So Jim Croce, Photographs and Memories. Next up, the beautiful voice of Rickie Lee Jones, and this is the magazine. I'm not real familiar with this particular album. I'm more familiar with her debut with Chucky's in Love and Pirates, but both of those records are amazing, so I'm expecting this to be fairly good as well. Next up is Joe Jackson, Night and Day. This was on heavy rotation on MTV back in the day, with Breaking Us in Two and Stepping Out. Joe Jackson records are, for some reason, always in the discount bin. I'm not sure why, because Joe Jackson is a wonderful artist, and I don't have a Joe Jackson record that I don't like. But you can always find them in the bargain bin, and that one is in perfect condition, so glad to have it. Next up is Emmylou Harris, and Emmylou Harris is a country singer. She sings backup with a lot of people, most famously with Graham Parsons back in the day. And this is one of her solo records, Quarter Moon in a 10-Cent Town. And I'm glad to have this, and we'll add this to my Emmylou Harris collection. Next up is Manfred Mann, Somewhere in Africa. And Manfred Mann, they changed so much through the duration of their career, with the Earth Band and Project 3 and so forth. So I'm not sure what to expect of this album, but I picked it up on it, taking a chance on it. So that's what the dollar bins are for, take a chance. So, because I haven't heard this one yet. And next one is Carole King, Fantasy. Carole King, Tapestry is one of my favorite records of all time as far as that comfort food type music like Jim Croce. Tapestry is an album that just puts a smile on your face. It's uplifting, it's wonderful, it's just a classic, and so I'm hoping this one is very similar. So I haven't heard this record yet. I see it a lot, but I never picked it up. So today when I saw it and I was digging through those dollar records or $2 records these days, I grabbed it. And lastly, I'm going to go with this Rod Stewart record. Rod Stewart, Every Picture Tells a Story. This is my favorite Rod Stewart solo record. Rod Wood plays on it. It has Maggie May, Reason to Believe, Mandolin Wind. Just a great record. It's almost like a greatest hits record. I mean, this thing is fantastic. And for a $2 record, you can't go wrong. So I'm glad I was able to pick this one up, and I already have a copy of this one, but I don't know. I figured I'd just get it and have another one. Give it to a friend. It's such a great record. That's what it's for. And that's it. This is Spinning Out with Rob, and I am signing off. Thank you for watching these videos, and if you like these videos and you want to see more, please click the button below and subscribe, and of course ring the bell for notifications of future videos. I will see you soon. Thank you.